Today's podcast is brought to you by the Herzog Foundation.
Hey, Tucker, it's Debbie from Unfiltered.
What are you doing? Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited.
I am too. This is going to be...
It's been a year since his shocking exit from Fox. Tucker Carlson gets real with an unfiltered interview on his personal life, the importance of families, today's top issues, and a whole lot more. Stay with us. Welcome to the Moms for America podcast. Each week, special guests tackle the issues facing the moms of America today. Discussions include personal stories and advice on how moms can build a strong foundation of faith, family, and freedom in their homes and country.
Yes, all righty. All right, Tucker, thank you.
I'm excited.
Tucker Carlson is on the Moms for America podcast. Woohoo! How about it? Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness, we're so excited. Thank you. I mean, I know
It's my pleasure.
I know you're a busy guy.
I'm not that busy.
No? I know you. We're going to
I don't
talk.
like it when people say they're busy. You know what I mean?
Well, I think, you've
If
got.
I died of business, I would never admit it.
All right.
I would pretend I wasn't busy.
Okay. Well, before we start, all right, I have a little gift for you.
What is that?
Because the moms absolutely want to give you some of your favorite things. So I want you to kind of let me know.
How did you know what my favorite things were?
What do you think about this?
Okay, trout flies, those are
Fly
nymphs.
fishing?
There's an emerger. Those are dry flies. I can name them, actually.
So big fly fisherman.
I am, and that's a good assortment. Thank you.
My husband picked it out for
Did
you.
he really? Parachute Adams, Black Wolf, Elk-wing caddis olive, size 12,
Okay,
amazing.
good.
Ooh, a fly box, thank
fly
you.
box, yeah.
Now, I don't know how you knew that I have a
fig
a
newt.
really ugly weakness for these little bits of poison.
Well, do you feel like this goes back to, I used to love these too growing up. I feel like it's a part of my childhood, fig
Right,
Newtons.
but I still eat like
You
a
still
child.
do?
I do, yeah.
So you've got your two fig Newtons
Plus
there.
you got spearmint number 6s.
I mean,
I do love these.
right number.
Yeah, they're pretty good. So you can see I've sort of toned down in my old age. It's like no longer, hot dog and a Marlboro Red. It's fig Newtons and a spearmint Zinn number 6. No, I absolutely love this stuff.
All right, what about the pens there too?
The pens are for my illegible left-handed handwriting.
Is that your favorite pen? I read this
Yeah,
somewhere.
how did you know that? Uniball. That's exactly right.
Well, you're not the only investigative reporter.
Thank you. Gosh, and you remind me that trout season is upon us.
That just says thanks.
It's about April 15th right now. It's almost tax day, which to me means it's time
Oh, he's going to read my
to
card.
hit the stream.
This is great.
And just for the record, I'm not going to eat all of the fig Newtons in the car. Just kidding.
All right, there's one other thing in here that is funny, I think, because we were chatting right before, and you were asking where are the dads.
Yeah, where are the dads?
So what about this?
Dads for Moms for America. I love that. Well, as the father of 4, I can confidently put myself in that category.
Yay!
I am a dad for Moms for America.
Isn't that great? I love it.
And I love it, and
You can wear that when you're fishing.
I can always tell the groups that are actually getting something done and not just like stealing from good-hearted conservative donors, which is a lot of these groups. And you know how you know the difference?
How?
Vimeo takes you down.
Vimeo took us down. They literally wiped us out.
Oh,
every single piece
course.
of video.
But if you find yourself in a place you're like, we've got to censor Moms for America, you know that you're on the wrong side.
Right.
Like, can you imagine the meeting at Vimeo where they're like, we got to censor Moms for America?
Yeah,
of all the threats this nation faces.
Right.
Every platform's got, porn to order, ISIS videos, but Moms for America is the threat.
Right. Seriously, we were shocked. We couldn't believe it, but they wiped us out. I
Yeah,
mean, we've been
well-
dealing with Facebook, we've been dealing with shadow banning, we deal with Twitter. YouTube has knocked us off many a times. And all we're doing is talking about the culture, the topics, things that are important to moms.
Well, I have to say, I don't give a lot of speeches or really go anywhere very often, but when I saw that, I was like, that group's for real. So, I mean, it really is like a negative measure. Right. It's like,
So it's
I
like
can't
congratulations.
I feel that way. I can't always tell who's for real, but you know who knows who's for real? The social media monopolies. They know who's a threat, and they'll take you down. So when I see these people are like, oh, so edgy, but they're not censored at all, they're like, oh, maybe there's a reason.
Yeah. Well, they've been picking on us, but we keep
we keep poking the bear right back. So our moms have said a couple of things about you, Tucker.
Oh, great.
Wonderful news, right? They say you speak the truth, you expose the lies, which you do.
I try.
And you have a contagious laugh.
Well, thank you. Well, I've been much criticized for my laugh, which is
Really? I love it.
high-pitched and demented, but I can promise you, if it was fake, I would make it a lot better.
Well,
I would. I would
have
have
kind of a
like some
crazy
Santa
laugh, too.
ho, 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 ho. I wouldn't be like, ha, 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 or whatever. My real laugh
I was
is like,
hoping you were going to give us a good one.
no, but I mean, like, it's, my only defense of my laugh is that it's
real.
It's authentic, yeah, it is.
I love it. So as we're talking about laughing and we're talking about news, how do you balance both of these? Because what's so great about you is you handle the truth, you expose the lies. It's a tough industry being in the media, but yet you really balance it with staying positive. How do you do that?
Well, that's my wife. I'm not that positive by nature, actually. I'm kind of a morose Scandinavian who, I'm those people who are always, maybe it doesn't happen to you, but texting you about the end times. Yeah. And for the record, I do think history ends, and I think Jesus comes back, and I believe I'm a Christian. Mm-hmm. But there are people who are always telling you it's coming on Wednesday, and I always think, like, how do you know that? You don't actually know that, because no one does know that. But I am more in that category. I need to get a hold of myself and remember that hope is a Christian commandment. And I would say this to non-Christians or people of any religion or no religion at all. It's better to be hopeful, actually. Just as a practice, I think it's a commandment for us, but for everyone it should be a practice. Choose hope rather than sort of morose, sullen, backward-looking sadness. Right. And the trap that I feel like I fall into a lot is that I think about the past too much. I'm gonna be 55 next month, and so I grew up in a completely different country, and sometimes I think about it, and I'm like, I can't believe that's gone, and it's never coming back, because it's not. But then nothing comes back, like everything ends, right? And so it doesn't mean that the future is a hellscape at all. So there's a lot to look forward to and a lot to be grateful for, even in the middle of chaos. And in fact, in some ways, you live a lot more deeply and intentionally and richly in a moment like this, and your friendships are deeper and your conversations are more real. Right. And like, there's a huge upside to living in turmoil, actually.
Well, thank you, because somehow you're balancing it all.
Well, I'm not. But I do take a sauna every day for 15 or 20 minutes and try and think about stuff. So that really helps.
Well, good. Well, let's talk about this. It's been a year, right? A year this month.
Yeah, I got fired a year ago this month. Yeah.
A year? Is it? How has the year been?
It's been great.
I've
really enjoyed it. I've been fired, so much in my life that it wasn't a shock to my wife. Was thrilled.
Right. You said that you.
Yeah. She loves getting fired. She thinks it's because she is a hopeful person. So she's like. She's never
like, yes!
worried, we're gonna go bankrupt or something, and she doesn't worry about stuff like that. So, because she's such a sincere person of faith that she's just like, it'll be great. And she didn't like my old job at all. And
so she was glad you called her. You said,
and she's not a liberal, for the record, at all. So it wasn't that she thought it was too right wing. That was not the problem that she had with it. It's been great. And by the way, I aged out of it. I'm thankful to my former employer, and I just want to say for the record, and I would not lie about this, they were always so nice to me when I worked for them for 14 years. And it's their company, and they didn't want me there anymore, and I get it. That's their prerogative. And I said that when they fired me. They didn't explain why, I still don't know. But I didn't complain about it, and I'm not complaining about it now. I've really had a great time. There are things about it that are a little weird. If you do the same thing for years and then one day you don't do it, you're like, ooh.
Right.
The scheduling part of it is strange for the first few months. Like, oh my gosh, it's 8 o'clock. Don't I have to be at work? No, I'm sitting at my kitchen table with my wife and dogs, But it didn't take too long to enjoy that, get used to it.
Get your new schedule. What about for family life? I think somewhere I read something like you didn't have dinner with your wife for 7 years during the week?
Yeah, really for most of our marriage. We were married in 91. I went into TV in 95. And before that, I was a magazine and newspaper writer. So, I worked at night a lot. Mm-hmm. No, it's been wonderful. And all of our kids were gone. Our 4 kids were gone. So we had a lot more time alone. We had the mirror image of the schedule we had now, which is we would spend the morning together every morning, which I loved. And we still do that. And we go to dinner together. So It's
You're your own boss.
Yeah, when your kids leave, as you know, if you've lived it, it's like you either end up deciding, I've got to get divorced, I hate this person, which happens a lot. Or you decide, and this happens, I think, thankfully even more, actually I really like this person. I haven't really talked to you in years because you had all these kids around. You can't have a conversation with kids, but you decide you like the person more, and I'm just really thankful that was the case with us.
So on the heels of that, 4 kids, all your kids are grown, they're all adult children?
Oh yeah, my oldest is almost 30.
Oh, 30?
She was born when I was 25, so I'm almost 55. So weird.
So 30 to?
21.
Okay.
So 30, so I've got 29, 27, almost 25, and 21.
Wow. And it went by fast, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you don't even remember some of it.
It's like, did it ever happen that you were little?
I remember really dreading the idea of them leaving because you don't know. I mean, I'm a dreader of the future anyway. I'm a celebrator of the past and a dreader of the future. That's an admission, not a boast. That's not a good way to be, but that's how I am by nature. And I remember thinking, oh man, I'm gonna be upset when they all leave. But first of all, they don't go anywhere. I mean, they're all in different states and countries, actually. 3 of them are outside the country right now, but it's not like you lose touch with them. I mean, I talk to them every day. And in some ways, you're a lot closer to them because they're adults. And we're a very close family and we're all aligned on the basics, completely aligned on the basics. So there's no arguing. And I think they're really interesting. Yeah. And they have all their opinions and not challenging me with their opinions, like you're wrong, but like I think this, and you listen to them and you just learn a ton.
I agree.
So
Same with my kids.
Don't you think? Do you learn stuff from your children?
Absolutely, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the mama side. I kind of like, we don't want them to grow up, and the dads are like, I really enjoy them older.
Yes.
So that's exactly what my husband says to me. I enjoy them older. Younger was just different, and now they're adults. We can have great conversations.
Because you're the mom, you're completely in charge. But then, as I say to my wife, you did this. These are all great people, really good people, trustworthy, loyal, smart, loving. They could not be closer to each other, which is the most important thing in my opinion. And I say to her, that's you. You did that. I didn't do it. I was like a semi-drunk guy flitting in and out of their lives, until I guess I quit drinking right before my 4th was born. But whatever. I was always on the road. Or working or something. And so I think it's important for moms to take credit in their hearts anyway, to themselves for how great their kids turn out. They take blame instantly. The second a child does anything wrong, mom's like, that's my fault.
Right.
No, that's genetics. Stop. Nothing to do with you.
Stay with us, moms. We'll be right back. Hi, moms. I'm excited to share some news about our new sponsor, the Herzog Foundation. We know you're passionate about raising patriots and empowering your children with the best education possible. And the Herzog Foundation shares that passion. They're dedicated to promoting liberty through education freedom and helping parents like you choose the best educational path. They offer a powerhouse of resources designed to support families and schools alike. Whether you're ready to dive in headfirst to the world of education or simply looking for more ways to empower your child's learning. From free training events to their must-read online publication, The Lion, they're committed to keeping you informed about what's happening in education. Also, if you've ever thought, moms, about starting your own Christian school or co-op, their School Box online course will give you everything you need to get started on the right foot. Again, we are so proud to partner with the Herzog Foundation, and we encourage you to explore all their amazing tools and the insights that they offer. So go ahead, visit herzogfoundation.com to learn more. You won't want to miss these incredible resources. Again, find it all out at herzogfoundation.com.
I've never really felt comfortable sharing pictures of my kids on social media. Then I found Tuvu, a premium social app with an actual, authentic community. No bots, no one trolling me or my family. Just clean, wholesome content you can trust.
Moms for America is on a mission to reclaim our culture for truth, family, freedom, and the Constitution. Check us out at momsforamerica.us and join the movement.
All right, well, let's talk about now, right? Professionally, you are in the top. You're still the main guy. I mean, you haven't skipped a beat with the new network, with the streaming service.
Well, the medium changed. You know, everything changed, and you're just like
changed,
when you're
right?
in it, yeah, completely. But I was only peripherally aware of it because I was in my slot and doing my thing. And you know, whatever you're doing, you're narrowly focused on that thing, of course, whether it's being a mom or a talk show host or a fireman or whatever. So sort of knew that things were changing in the communications media landscape, but I didn't really realize how much they had changed.
Right. So drastic. I mean,
It's unbelievable.
from cable to
What a blessing and what an upgrade.
Freedom.
What an upgrade. Yes, that's how I feel. And really the key, I mean, there are many platforms and X is by far, you know, not the biggest. It's one of the smaller ones, but in some ways it's the most significant because it's pretty open. You know, it's not uncensored, but it's as close as this country or this world gets. And that's by design. And Elon Musk did that for his own, I think, ideological reasons. I mean, look, I've talked to him about it a lot, but you can't know someone's motivations. But my sense is that he really means it. He doesn't think a democracy can have censorship.
right, and thank goodness because we're all back and able to share our views again.
Why is that so hard? Why is it so hard to let other adults talk? I don't understand that. Why is that a threat to anyone? So you've got an idea I disagree with or that I find hateful or scary. Okay. Well, plenty of people have ideas I find hateful or scary. In fact, a lot of people do. In fact, almost everyone in charge has ideas I find hateful and scary. I'm not trying to censor Joe Biden or the moron press secretary who works for him or any of these ghouls. And a lot of them are just flat out criminals, in my opinion. And I still would not censor them.
Right.
So it's like outrageous that there's censorship in this country.
Yeah,
It's
I mean-
outrageous. And I think that if there's one criticism I could level at the non-liberal world, it's that we take it as a matter of course, like, well, you know, Vimeo shut us down. Well, Vimeo should be shut down for shutting you down, in my opinion. That's like completely not acceptable.
Exactly.
And we should be as outraged as that crime suggests. Like that's a crime, and we should treat it as one.
So where do you think, you're talking about the crimes, where do you think we're going to end up in 5-10 years as far as media? Do you think cable, everything is just, it's all going to, it's
It's
just
very
changing.
hard to control the internet. I mean, that's part of the problem. I didn't understand the internet very well. I don't use it very often in my own life, and I just don't care for it, to be honest, as an aesthetic matter. Less technology, the better. My favorite place is an off-grid cabin. It's my fishing cabin, and I'm there a lot. So and we use candles and well water with a pump.
You know, I had a cottage where literally until 16 years ago, we were still doing a pump
That's what we use.
in Indiana.
That's
So,
what we
I mean,
use.
it really does keep
With
it
a
kind
gravity shower.
of, keeps you real.
100%. That's my preference. So because I'm that way, and that's really kind of an aesthetic, it's ideological, but it's just aesthetic. I mean, I like nature and I
Simple.
don't want to be bothered by electricity and stuff like that. That's just me. Many people disagree, good people disagree. But I didn't really understand the internet as well as I now do, and I've made a study of it. And the internet was designed to be open. Like its most basic architecture suggests communication between people without moderation. So it's pretty hard to shut down the internet by its nature. I mean, you could definitely do your best. You can erect firewalls and censor people's content with AI, and that's all happening. But in the end, you know, I don't know that it can actually be censored. It can be censored at scale. Like most people will have no idea what's actually happening. That's true in our country now. Most people have no idea what's going on in the world. But people who want to know, I think, will always have access to information. And so that fact gives me comfort.
Right, and it's the good and the bad.
Of course.
You know,
It's the good
and
and bad.
that's the hardest part because you can have all the horrible pornography
Yes.
you can't control, and then you can still have freedom of speech, and it's just this wide open land of. I guess people are still trying to figure it out.
There's no real attempt to stop the pornography, and pornography is one of those topics that like no one talks about because it's just too embarrassing. I'm definitely in that category. I find it embarrassing. and which is not something I care to talk about. I'm not going to talk about it with you, other than to say. So there are many times I'd like work up in my mind, like, let's do a segment on the ubiquity of porn. This has got to be affecting the country, right?
Sure is.
If 11-year-old boys are watching hardcore porn all the time on their phones, like, what does that do to people?
7-year-olds are the first ones now. That's the youngest age.
Okay, so that's like a nightmare, and maybe someone should say something about it. No one ever does. I never did when I was at Fox because I was just too embarrassed to read the script that I wrote, okay? That's my fault. But one way to talk about it is by saying, wait a second, you're taking Moms for America off the internet.
Exactly.
But I can look up, something I can't even describe to you in a podcast.
Right.
At age 7 on
your phone.
Yeah.
Like this.
So like, what?
Right, exactly.
Right. And what that tells you, of course, is that pornography serves the interests of the people in charge because it destroys people and makes you weak. And that the kind of things you're saying are a threat to the monsters in power, and they're monsters.
Yeah.
Because it's true. So like, I think it's important to say that out loud.
I know. I agree. And it is, it just shows you the decline in morality. It shows you everything.
But there's a purpose to it. It's like, why is it so easy to get porn, but so hard to hear about the medical side effects of the vax?
Exactly.
I mean, what? Or like the benefits of vitamin D or sunlight or exercise. Very hard to learn about that stuff. Well, but it's really easy to get hardcore porn. Okay.
The two things that if we talk about, of course, this is a little different than your platform, if we talk about anything about gender, and if we talk about anything with the vax, those two.
Gender meaning like the tranny stuff?
Yeah, anything with gender confusion, anything with the gender issues that are facing America or kids.
You can't talk about that?
We get shut down.
Women aren't allowed to talk about dudes stealing their identity?
Exactly.
One of my girls...
Or completely destroying our children.
One of my daughters who's not political at all. In fact, I always thought she'd be a liberal. Liberals turned out to be so horrible that she's not a liberal.
This is so funny you say that.
Because they're disgusting. Well, you always have a child, you're like, she's the kind of person we'd be walking through Georgetown in DC where we're from, and there'd be some like, schizophrenic drug addict, be like, give me money. And I'd be like, away from me, beggar. And my daughter would be like, oh, I feel so sorry for him. Which it turned out was like a great impulse, actually, to feel sorry for people. I'm not making fun of it, but I would always say to my wife, she's going to be a liberal.
Oh, no.
Chaining herself to the White House gates in favor of animal rights or something. But liberals just became so anti-human that of course, she hates them because any normal person would. But she made such a smart point to me the other day. She's like, the tranny stuff is, and I'm not going to dignify it by calling it transgender, sorry.
Right.
That's on purpose. But the tranny stuff is like actually a middle finger to women.
Sure.
It's some dude putting on falsies and telling you he understands the pain of living as a woman. What? How are your menstrual cramps? How was your childbirth? Like, it's a grotesque parody that's insulting to actual women. And she's telling me this, and she's getting madder and madder. And she's like, why doesn't anyone say anything about this?
Right. And we fight this on every corner. We get behind the bills, the legislation, we expose it, but moms aren't really letting this happen. Who wants a man in our young girl spaces? Who wants a biological?
Well, where are the dads? Like,
right.
I'd like to think that if some dude showed up in the John with my daughter, right. I'd beat him unconscious. Right. No, I'd beat him unconscious. Like, that's my job. Right. Oh, that's illegal. No, what's illegal is to get creepy with my daughter, okay? Oh, I can't believe you're saying that. I'm not advocating violence, I'm advocating defense of your own children. And if you can't defend your own children, then you're a contemptible person. You're not a dad.
You're right.
Anyway.
So.
Get creepy with my daughter? What?
No.
How about I die before I put up with that?
Right. Absolutely. And I think that's what everybody is saying. I really do.
Yeah, it's not complicated. That's not, by the way, that's not an ideological, like, I'm not sure what side of that I'm on. Protect my daughter? I know what side of that I'm on. That's my moral duty. I have no higher duty than that.
Right.
To protect my wife and children.
Especially as a
That's
dad.
why I exist.
Right.
No, that's my role.
Yeah, you are their protector.
100%. And by the way, I'm not going to go send them to fight wars for me either. Sorry. I know we're supposed to pretend that's okay. It's not okay.
It's not okay.
It's just so disgusting. If I have a home invasion in my house, I wake up at 3 a.m. I'm a heavy sleeper. I wake up at 3 a.m. My wife's like, there are men in the house. And I'm like, you know what? Your turn to deal with the home invasion tonight. I hope she'd turn the gun on me. That is the most, insulting, flagrant violation of my most basic duty, which is to protect my family as a man, not as a person, as a man. And anyone who lets his daughter have some dude get creepy with her in a bathroom, I have contempt for you. I will not speak to you. You know what you're supposed to go do it.
Right. 100%.
I might get arrested. So? What?
I know.
I might get arrested.
Where are we now when it comes to things like this? Because
You're disgusting wuss.
Right. Where are we that it's
I hope
just...
you are arrested. Good luck in prison when you tell everybody else in the holding cell, I refuse to protect my daughter. You know, whatever. Excuse me.
Well, all right, dads, you heard it from Tucker. Please step up, start protecting your children, which I know they are.
It's not, I spent a lot of the year, the great part about getting fired is I got to travel a lot because I hadn't traveled in so long, you know, like a week on vacation or something, but I hadn't been on the road for months at a time. And I spent months on the road this year, just seeing people I knew in various countries. And one of the things I was reminded of is that this is a Western problem. This is an Anglosphere problem. This is the United States, Western Europe, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, pretty much it. There's not a problem in Bulgaria.
No.
You get creepy with somebody's daughter in a bathroom in Bulgaria, you're gonna get beaten to death, okay? So you don't do that. And that's a culture that respects itself enough to protect its own children. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, you have an opinion.
It's a super strong opinion.
He's telling the truth. And by the way, of course we agree with you. And
I'm just mad at the dads. Like, what is going on?
I am mad at people that just do not have common sense, that think that a biological man could come in, take a space, take a spot, be in a bathroom, compete for their sports, take anything away from these young women. There's nothing safe. There's nothing sacred anymore.
But of course, it's the mom. I mean, because the thing about, there are a lot of women who are going along with this stuff and pushing it, and I'm not giving them a pass at all. But I will say the people who are fighting against it, in general, not exclusively, these are generalizations, but tend to be women. Because if you make a woman mad on this level, like if you threaten her family, she just gets super unreasonable immediately. There's no conversation. It's like, stop. Like, I'll bite you. And I think that's the right response. And I admire that. And you can't, if you're hurting a woman's child, you can't be like, actually, there's a good reason I'm hurting your child. A normal mom's gonna be like, I can't even hear you. I'm gonna make you stop hurting my child. And I just think that's the posture right there.
That's it.
Yeah.
Parental rights, another huge issue with the moms. They're grooming our children, they're sexualizing our children, right? The DOJ is calling parents domestic terrorists. This is an assault that our moms are extremely concerned about.
Terrorists, actually. I mean, honestly, like, if there was ever a time for extremism, it's in defense of your own children.
That's right.
Sorry. And like, I don't, that the kind of famous story of the woman lifting the car off her child that had run over. She's possessed with superhuman strength and lifts the car up. It's like, that's what it is to be a parent. I will give my life for somebody. That's why being a parent is the transformative experience in life. Right. Because you realize it's not about you, and you would literally die, not rhetorically die, but physically die for another person. Mm-hmm. That's what it means to be a parent. Mm-hmm. And every parent has had that realization. And so live it. Live it. Don't put up with it.
Right.
And fear no one in defense of your children. Not the civil authorities. Fear no one. And I mean fear no one. Oh, they're going to arrest me. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because they're threatening to take away your children.
I'm not afraid of you, actually.
Yes.
Those are my kids. And we can have civil debates about legislation and all that stuff. We cannot have a civil debate about my kids. They're my kids, they're not your kids. You hurt my kids and I will hurt you. It's that simple. And I mean it. Mm-hmm. And it has to be that simple. That's first of all, the family is the building block of society. It's the most basic unit of all. Mm-hmm. And the most important relationship in nature is between parent and child.
That's right.
And anybody who seeks to intrude on that or replace the parent needs to be resisted with force, including physical force. And I hope, go ahead and arrest me for saying that, but I mean it. And by the way, any government that would even presume to do that deserves to be smacked in the nose really hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They now they're so bold. They just come right in between.
I'm afraid I'm going to be arrested. Okay. Are you joking? It's your kid.
I know. But the government, the schools, the teachers, all have just crossed the line.
If some school counselor
into your home, and they feel that they have the right to parent your children.
Yeah, but that's because people are too passive. Like, if a father finds out that a school counselor has told his child to change genders or is saying creepy sex shit to the kid, okay? Excuse me, ugh, makes me so mad.
I know.
How about you go to the school counselor and grab him by the face, force him to the ground and say, you can't do that to my child. It's a minor child. You're a child molester. And we're not doing that under any circumstances. And
we have to be bolder.
Look, I'm not an extremist in any sense. I hate violence. I don't like people fomenting hatred between each other. I don't like that. I'm a Christian. But there has to be a line.
There is.
And the line is messing with my kids, particularly sexually.
Yeah.
You are not allowed to do that. Child molesters get murdered in prison for a reason. Because everybody knows, even prison inmates on an animal level, that cannot be allowed in any society. And the parents who allow it should not be surprised when it happens. Right? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And wake up, stand up.
So if the civil authorities won't do anything about it, you have to do something about it. You
and they
can't
are.
Get creepy with my kids sexually.
And they are. And really, the worst place to be is between a mama bear and her child.
Yeah, but where's the dad?
I don't
Where's
know.
the
We're
dad?
gonna get
Like
these
standing in the
dads.
doorway. Are you the school counselor?
Right.
Did you do this? Like, that's what we need a lot more of. And big dads, like giant dads, like fill the doorway, block the sun dads.
Well, this is
Right?
the message. Right.
Sorry, I'm talking to your cameraman. It's making me mad.
All right. How about this one? Because we agree with you 100%. The dads, the moms, everybody
Yeah, put
out.
this on the internet
Stand
and
up.
have them arrest me for saying that, but I mean it.
All right. Well, I don't want you to get arrested.
I don't
but
care.
Okay. All right. I know you don't.
It's just,
He's strong. He's bold. All right. You have some great advice. Get married, have tons of kids. We love this, Moms for
Yes.
America. Get married when you're too young. Have more kids than you can afford. Live boldly, and basically don't waste any time. How is this?
because
This
you
has
get
become
cancer.
your message.
You like die before you think you're going to. Like, the future is not certain.
Yeah.
Live, embrace meaning, and meaning is responsibility. They're synonyms. There's no meaning without responsibility. There's no gain without burden. There's no growth without suffering. I mean, these are all cliches for a reason because they're true. And I think that, Americans have lost their self-confidence, clearly, young men especially. Well, I can't get married, I can't have kids, I can't afford it. Well, yeah, you can't afford it because you don't have kids. But the second you have kids, guess what? You're gonna afford it. I'll never forget, I had a child at 25, and I was working in a magazine, and my editor, who was kind of a weird guy, but smart, you got a kid? Yeah. I said, he goes, everything's gonna change. I said, how? He goes, when you have a kid, you realize you will do whatever it takes.
That's right.
And you may be the most moral man in the world. If you have to rob a liquor store to feed that kid, or whatever it takes, you will do it because that is your responsibility.
It's the most important thing in your life.
I never robbed a liquor store. I don't believe in crime at all, but I did whatever it took. And nothing immoral, thank heaven, but because I didn't have to, because we had a great economy at the time. But I remember thinking, another job, work 7 days a week, which I did for 4 years. Fine, like that's my job. And by the way, I think my kids respected me, my wife loved me. I was really rewarded for it.
That's right.
There's
nothing better than being a parent. There really isn't.
Well, yeah, because the only respect that matters is the respect of the people who love you. The respect of people you've never met means literally nothing. Nothing. I evaluate people and their lives on the basis of their families. So if you're seeking to lead me and give me advice, and this goes for preachers, this goes for politicians, this goes for business leaders, I'm not in the military, it would go for officers. If you don't have a wife who loves you and kids who respect you, then I'm not listening to you. Because what do you know? What do you know? You may be a great guy. I mean, I'm not like against you or anything, but like,
Family matters,
I don't take you seriously. How could I? You don't even have kids. I'm not gonna take life advice from you. How could you possibly know anything I don't? So the most important thing is to have the love as a man, is to have the love of your wife and the respect of your children. And
Family's
crawling
where it's
up the ladder at Citibank or Dell Computer, one of these stupid companies that will be gone. I mean, who even cares? Who cares? What
your
matters are
family.
your children.
Right.
And by the way, conceiving children is really fun. Men do none of the work. It's 100% upside. Like, I don't understand the fear. Everyone's like, oh, I'm so afraid. Really? I enjoyed it intensely, and I wish I'd done a lot more of it.
Do you wish you had more kids?
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, so do I.
We
wish
were
I had more,
Protestant,
too.
unfortunately, and That was just not part of our culture at all, to have like 8 kids, but
I would have loved to have more.
we were meeting before this with someone with 8 children. I was like, oh, you're so much richer than me. I wish I'd had 8 children.
I wish I had more too. I say that to everybody. Have more children. When you think you're done, have 2 more.
Well, I meet poor people or people with disorganized lives who have all these kids, and I always think, you're way more successful than I am.
The election.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the biggest election of our lifetime. I know everybody says this every year. I mean, come on.
It keeps getting more true every time, though,
It is.
doesn't
I mean, really, we're all freaking out. The
I know.
moms are really terrified, because if we do not turn this around, there won't be an America for our children. The future looks
feels
bleak.
that way.
And it's very serious. What are we going to do, Tucker? Is there hope? What are you going to tell the mama bears out here?
I would say there's hope in the following way. You don't ever know what's actually going to happen. Right. You don't. And I'm reminded of that all the time, because I've been in a business where I'm expected to predict the future, and I can't. Right. And I've been wrong about so many things. I've been right, I think, on most of the long-term general predictions, like we're going in this direction, obvious. Mm-hmm. But on specific questions of what's going to happen on this day, I've been more wrong than right. Mm-hmm. And so there's that. The future is unknown. It's opaque. Through a glass darkly, as we say. And but the more deeper point is that often the opposite happens in effect. Like, there's this thing that I've noticed in my own life, but also in reading scripture and just watching people, and it's that, you think you know what the effect of something is, but often it's the opposite. The first really are last, and the last are first, and the meek do inherit the earth, and like what you think is a victory is actually a failure. And in your lowest point, you're the strongest. Like, these are true. Mm-hmm. And you feel them in your own life. Like you're liberated often by failure, and you're crushed by victory. Mm-hmm. And I see that even now. Like, this is the darkest time since the Civil War in this country. Fewest freedoms, most division. Yeah. We don't have violence as we did 150 years ago, but we have everything but that.
Right, we've got the open borders.
Yes, and we have this kind of irreparable division between 2 sides of the country where they don't even hear each other. I don't even understand what you're saying, right. And I don't like you. And that's so bad.
Not even I don't like you, I hate you.
I hate you, that's right. And that's right. So we have a lot of that. Right. But at the same time, there is a lot of good happening in people's relationships and in the closeness of their families, and people are drawing closer to the ones that they love, and they're having deeper, more honest conversations with them. And certain people who you thought you hated, for every family member or friend you've lost because of politics over the past 3 years, you've gained another who you didn't know you could ever have anything in common with. It's incredible. Because of my job, I really see a lot of that. And what a blessing that is. So I would say that applies to the election in the following way. I personally think if I had to bet on it, Trump probably win because he's more popular, and Biden is senile and he can't get elected in a fair process, and everybody knows that. The rest of the world knows that. Right. So if Biden wins, democracy will be a joke. Obviously, it's not real. And it's already not real, but everyone will know it's not real.
So you think President Trump's going to win?
I think he's going to win. Yeah, well, if in a fair election he would win. We can say that. If a fair election was held today, we know from public opinion polling he would win. Mm-hmm. And Trump is a flawed guy, but Biden has really hurt this country and has nothing to offer people other than more suffering and death. So no, of course Biden can't win in a fair election, obviously. And that the polling shows it. Right. But let's say Biden does win. And anyway, because they cheat, which they did last time, they'll definitely do it again. And we think everything is over and we're going to descend into Soviet America in darkness. It's not assured that will actually happen. Do you know what I mean? In the way that sometimes, right when it all seems lost, you realize, no, actually, this is the beginning of something new and better. And in a much smaller way, I've experienced that. I think we all have, with the death of a loved one, or even something as silly as getting fired from your job, or losing all your money, which I have also done in my long and varied life, and you realize years later, like, oh, I'm so glad that happened, because I was really on the wrong track.
Right, it changes us. It helps us, actually.
Big time.
Yeah.
And I personally have never learned anything from success at all. The only thing success does is like ratify your worst instincts. Like, I'm a really impressive guy. No, you're not. You're not impressive. Nobody's impressive.
I know
Stop. You start taking credit for your success, and you become even more arrogant and overbearing and dumb and hard to deal with. When you lose, you're like, ooh, I've got to become better. And there's only growth through suffering is the principle. And so...
So do you think there's hope?
There is definitely hope.
Okay.
There is definitely hope.
We're going to make it, you think?
Everybody in my life, like the people in my family, my immediate family, not my larger family, unfortunately, but everyone in my immediate family, closer than ever, more honest with each other than ever. The people I work with who work for me, I feel that way about them too. I love them more. We're more honest with each other. My neighbors, the people in my actual life, like day to day,
Better, I guess?
I have better relationships with them than I've ever had. And so that's a sign to me that in the middle of sadness, sometimes there's greater joy than there was before. Like, I'll just ask you a question, like the happiest times in your life, looking back, the deepest, most meaningful, most powerful moments in your life, were they at the Four Seasons in Nevis eating French toast in bed on Sunday? Probably not. No, they were in childbirth. Right? Or something
The
where...
tough moments.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
And so, anyway, that's what I would say.
So to our moms, we keep saying you've got to be involved in this election. You've got to be registered to vote, and you have to show up in full force. Full force. If they don't.
Of course.
But why aren't people voting? Why aren't the people that are concerned about the future of the country voting?
Because they know that the system is completely fake, and the people who run it have been so dishonest about how it actually works that they're discouraged. You know, people are discouraged. They're like, it doesn't matter who you vote for, nothing ever changes. On the big issue, which are the economy and foreign policy, where all the money is, nothing ever changes because both parties, Mike Johnson or whatever his name is, and you know his Democratic counterpart, like they're on the same page actually, and everyone knows that. And so they're bummed out, and they feel like they not only don't have a voice, but they don't have the possibility of making their voice heard.
Right.
And so they give up.
But they can't.
Oh, I agree completely. I agree completely. I actually believe in democracy, unlike everyone in Washington. They hate democracy above all. That's why they're always talking about it. Oh, democracy, really? A democracy where the CIA chooses the winner? That's a democracy? I don't think so. But I believe in democracy. I think that people should be able to choose their own leaders.
Sure.
Sorry.
Welcome
I'm
to America.
American that way.
Yes.
And this is kind of our last chance to show if it works or not.
It is. That's why it's so important.
It is. Look, you can say all you want. You can tell the truth all you want. You can take a stand as an individual all you want, and you should. Yeah. But unless you're organized, like actually organized in some sort of active network with other people who share your views and are willing to act on behalf of those views, probably not going to get a lot done. Yeah. And so I'm just grateful for Moms for America. Yeah. And that's why I'm here.
Thank you. We're so glad to have you.
Oh, of course. Sorry for my lunacy, but it was heartfelt.
Tucker's the man. Thank you, Tucker. Wasn't this amazing? Thank you.
Thank you.
We're so glad to have you.
Sorry. I feel like I've embarrassed myself, but I don't care. That was super fun. Are you from Michigan?
No, Chicago.
Why? Can I hear Michigan?
A special thank you to our sponsors, the Herzog Foundation and Tuvu. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Herzog Foundation.